Welcome back, guys, to another week of Premier League predictions. I'm here with Eric. Say what up, Eric.
What up?
And we are diving into week 12 after a crazy, and I mean crazy, week 11. We did not fare too well in this crazy week, but I went 3-7. Eric went 2-8. I gained a game. Nothing to be proud of, though, sitting at 60 and 49, and Eric at 58 and 51. We don't have too much to be proud of there. Nobody can really brag about last week, but it happens. The past 2 weeks we've been decent. We were 8-2 and then about 7-3. So we had a drop-off week, but hopefully we can bounce back here in week 12. Even though I picture the Premier League just getting even crazier as we're about at this halfway mark.
Yeah.
You ready to get into it? We got Wolves versus Tottenham.
Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting match. Basically, we've kind of been hyping up Wolves for the most part for the past few weeks because they've been playing really well. But they unfortunately took a 2-1 loss to Sheffield, which was kind of an upset and kind of shocking to see in general. You kind of have to take into consideration whether or not this is kind of their return to form match or whether this is just a downhill kind of blip in the map. I think that honestly Wolves will come back from this match and play better than they did. I think that Wolves aren't going to really be stopped by a Sheffield squad that's been, at the lower end of the table this year. And I think that they're going to come back next week against Tottenham. As for Tottenham lost to Chelsea 4-1 in what can only be described as one of the most bizarre matches I've ever seen in my life. With a total of 5 disallowed goals and 2 red cards, I don't honestly know what to expect anymore. But, if you look at that, Tottenham's going to be down 2 players. They're going to be out Romero and Ndoggy, and that's going to be 2 big players for Tottenham in general, and I think that's going to kind of strain them a little bit. They do have the depth in the squad, and they should be fine. But I think it is going to hinder them a little bit. I think that Wolves will be able to take advantage if they can return back to the form that they were a few weeks ago. So honestly, in this match, I'm looking for Wolves to return to form, and I'm looking for Spurs to kind of come to grips with what happened this week and reconfigure themselves with a couple of players that are missing and make some adjustments. But in general, I'm not entirely sure how this match is going to go. I think that with the Tottenham midfield and forwards still being intact and playing well, I think that Tottenham is going to take the win this week, but it should be a good game to watch.
Wolves are at home. Does that affect your decision?
I don't know. I don't think it does. I think that Wolves being at home is good for them. But I think, like I said, with Tottenham having their midfield and forwards still intact and okay, I think that they're probably going to be all right, but it is going to be an interesting performance to watch from Jose Sa.
Yeah, it's just 2 teams that Tottenham I really thought maybe was going to take control and say, "Hey, this is our league to win. This is our title." But of course, just Tottenham doing Tottenham things in my mind, not to bash on Tottenham, just having an off week where it looks like, "Whoa, this race is wide open." And, just crazy things keep happening. I think with the Wolves just being bouncy around, they're playing good. The Wolves are in a good spot. The Wolves don't have anything to be ashamed of, but I think I'm just going to have to go with Tottenham because of that up and down. I don't know. I think Tottenham will still be okay here, bouncing back. Chelsea, we do have to give Chelsea some credit as they're getting their stuff back together. But like you said, that was a crazy game anyways. But I got Tottenham.
Yep.
All right, moving on. We got Arsenal versus Burnley.
Yeah, this is another match that last week I don't entirely think shows really what's happening this season, but it's one of those weeks. So Arsenal last week lost to Newcastle 1-0. Wasn't a great performance from Arsenal. It wasn't really the squad that we've seen all year. But it is what it is. It happens, and it happened for a lot of teams this week. Burnley lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace, not entirely unexpected. They played how we kind of expected Burnley to play, and they went up against a Crystal Palace squad that's been doing well all season and has the ability to take control like we've been saying week in and week out. So realistically, looking at what happened to Burnley, it's not entirely unexpected that they took a loss to Crystal Palace. But, they performed pretty much to the standard that we've been holding Burnley to this season so far. I'm, welcome to surprises. But they're going to come up against an Arsenal squad that's been playing well in general over the course of the season. Had that dip week against Newcastle, probably should have played better, needed to clean up a couple of things. But, is what it is. It's just one of those weeks. So I think this week it's pretty straightforward. Arsenal is going to return to form. They're going to play how we think Arsenal should be playing. I think Burnley is going to be playing fairly consistently. They're going to play how we think Burnley should be playing. And I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward match in terms of Arsenal's going to take the win here. Burnley's going to, be there, show up, and if Arsenal really does return to form, it's going to be a slippery slope for them.
Yeah, Arsenal should get back on track here with a win against a team who only has one win and one draw. So if Arsenal loses this is really a tragedy in itself, but wouldn't be anything short of a surprise as the Premier League is providing great matches. This is why this is the best league to cover, without a doubt. So, yeah, I don't think Arsenal can take lightly of Burnley. They got to go out there, and they really need to just assert their dominance with, like, a 5-0 win is what Arsenal needs here. They don't need just a win. They need a whooping. So, I'm going to take an Arsenal whooping.
All right.
You got Burnley?
Of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Moving on, we got Crystal Palace versus Everton.
Yeah, so Everton took the 1-1 draw with Brighton. That was kind of that was a different result than what I was really expecting. I kind of figured that Brighton would take the lead in that game and not really let it go. But I was pleasantly surprised by Everton, and I think that they did play well in that match, especially against a strong Brighton squad this season, who hasn't played to their full potential, but has played well enough that you really have to consider them in matches. So for Everton to take a draw last week is really good for them, and I think that they've been getting better as the weeks have gone on. So Everton, they're good. They've been performing better and better, and I think that we need to keep that in mind here. Crystal Palace has been playing fairly consistently. They beat good teams. They beat lower teams, but they can also be, up in the air at times. They took the 2-0 win over Burnley last week. So Crystal Palace is kind of in that situation of, well, we've done it last week. In theory, we should do it again this week. I think that Crystal Palace will end up doing it again. I think that they have just been playing, they've been playing well. Like I said, they get off to early starts and they just kind of keep applying the pressure. And I think that's what you really need in this situation. And I think that Everton's really going to have to play smart to beat Crystal Palace, and I think it is doable. But I think if you look at what the two teams have been doing over the course of the season, I think that Crystal Palace has been consistently playing at a better level than Everton, but Everton is slowly getting better. So it's going to be tough to tell, and I'm going to be interested to see when that overlap kind of happens, whether, Everton is going to bump up to the point where they can beat Crystal Palace or whether Crystal Palace is just going to kind of stay drifting ahead of them. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen here, but I think the Crystal Palace is going to take the win.
Oh, you think Crystal Palace is going to take the win? All right, well, this is a pretty big game for both of these teams as Everton's down at the bottom portion of the table. This is really a chance for them to jump up towards the middle portion of the table and get things turned around, which they have been doing. They've been on the up, it looks like. Been putting on some solid performances, better than what you would expect anyways, but I'm really looking for some plays to be made by Doucouré and Calvert-Lewin here. I think the Everton squad is going to turn things around, and I think they're going to be a mid-table team here soon to come, so I'm going to go with Everton over Crystal Palace.
Fair enough.
And the teams are only separated by one win, so they're pretty evenly matched. It should be a good game for us to watch. So,
yep.
You got a CP?
Yep.
All right, moving on. We got Manchester United versus Luton.
Yeah. I got nothing for this one. I'm gonna be forward with you. I got nothing. United took the 1-0 win over Fulham last week, which is a really good showing for them. United needed the win. They need to keep winning. They need to keep performing. United just kind of needs to keep riding the train that they're on right now and not get off it, because consistency is everything. United's been struggling. They finally hit a good streak. They need to just keep rolling with it, and things should be okay. They're playing Luton. Luton has been performing better and better and better. They took a 1-1 draw with Liverpool. Liverpool underperformed in that game, but I think it was a good showing from Luton no matter what. And I think that they've been playing better. And, just like I said last week about Everton, is both of these teams keep getting better as the weeks go on. So it's going to be really interesting to see kind of where they line up with teams as they keep getting better, if teams kind of level out, where those overlaps are going to kind of lay out. But I think that this week you have a United squad that can perform well, can also just straight up bomb. So it's going to be tough to really predict. But I think I don't know. Luton's been consistent. Luton has been very consistent. They've taken, 2 draws in the past 2 weeks? They've been consistent, and they've played well.
It's in Manchester, too, so.
Yeah. I'm going to take a draw. Okay. You know what? Let's do this.
I would think you're crazy, but that's a fair shout, especially with that solid showing against a good Liverpool team. I mean, Liverpool, just another one of those teams that just tends to come out and drop a dud when you would expect them to do a lot better, because Liverpool, we know, can go out there and beat Man City if they're playing Man City. They're just, I don't know, just kind of crazy. And Luton has been playing like they have nothing to lose, which has been great. They've been playing well, I think, because of that. But it's kind of interesting now to see that they've jumped out of a relegation position, whether the mindset shifts a little bit to where, we actually have a chance to stay here. We'll see if that pressure affects them at all. I don't see it affecting them at all, just because they're still that new team, nothing to lose mentality, I think. But I like your draw here, but I don't know. I'm rooting for the boys in Luton. I'll be so happy if they draw or win. But I think I'm going to just have to stick with a Man United win here still. So
yeah, that's fair.
But I'm rooting for the Luton boys. All right. Moving on, we got Bournemouth versus Newcastle. I think this is pretty obvious that Bournemouth's going to whoop up on Newcastle, right?
Yeah, probably. So Bournemouth is coming off of a bad week. They took a 6-1 loss to City. Not entirely unexpected is what it is. You played a strong City squad. It's going to happen. They're going up against Newcastle, who took the 1-0 win over Arsenal, which was kind of a surprise. I mean, not entirely. We know that Newcastle can perform. We know that Newcastle can surprise. It is what it is. But honestly, I didn't really entirely expect them to beat Arsenal. I think that Arsenal underperformed, but not taking anything away from Newcastle. They took the win, and that's all that matters in the end. So you have a higher performing Newcastle squad versus a solid, lower mid-table team in Bournemouth. And I think that Bournemouth has the ability to come in and play competitively with Newcastle, but I think it is going to be rough. I think that if Newcastle can, play with their strong midfield and get in and make chances and keep possession, which they have the ability to do and they have shown, I think that it's going to be tough for Bournemouth to really get out and show their own in this game. But I think it is entirely possible for both teams to really shine. I just think that with the strength of Newcastle's squad, and especially that midfield, that they're going to take the win this week.
Yeah, I agree. Bournemouth's on the brink of relegation now. Obviously, we have a long way to go through the season, but that's something to note. And we have a Newcastle team here who's pushing top 5. I think the difference is just kind of big. May not see another whooping like Man City gave them, but, I mean, that's what Newcastle really – expectations over there in Newcastle is, but I'm going to have to go with the Newcastle win as well. So, I don't know. Not much really talk about there other than that. But Aston Villa versus Fulham. This should be a good game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this game. So basically, what we've been saying all season is that Villa's basically overperforming than we had originally thought, and that's a great thing. And I think that they have the ability to continue to perform at that high level, and I am really excited to watch them. On the other hand, you have Fulham, who's been playing well, has the ability to take a win from a team, also has the ability to lose to United 1-0, but is what it is. Villa took a loss last week to Nottingham though 2-0, which was kind of a surprise, but I mean all of last week really was. And basically, you have a Villa squad that is going to have to kind of bounce back. I don't think that they've really had at least in recent weeks, where they've been really performing well, that kind of reset to, oh, we can be beat, especially by a team, that is Nottingham Forest. I mean, it's not like Villa came in and got beat by City. They got beat by Forest, which is perfectly fine. And I'm impressed by what I saw from Nottingham, but yeah, Villa's really going to have to sit there and hit the reset button and go, okay, we can be beat. We're not unstoppable here. Now we come back and we play better. We understand what we did wrong and we come back. I think that if Villa does that, they're going to be a really tough team to beat. Fulham has the ability to take on top squads. Yeah, they did lose to United last week, but, United has the ability to come out and play at a really high level, and they did last week. And I think that Fulham can play with the top squads, and they can play with the top squads, but they also can drop points where they unnecessarily, make mistakes and have issues. So it's going to be an interesting match to watch. I think that if Villa can really bounce back and come back to their level and their standards, they're going to have a good week. I think that if Fulham can play well, if they can kind of fix a couple of their mistakes, lock up the back and play better, get the passes rolling and keep possession a little bit more, I think that they have a solid chance here. But I think overall, I'm going to take the consistency and the high rider of Villa. But I think that Fulham is definitely a squad to watch here and see how they perform.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of feel a little bad towards Fulham that my focus is really on Villa here more than anything else, even though Fulham is a legit contender here. Nothing to shy away from. But just to note, Villa lost on the road there to Nottingham. Nottingham showed out for their home crowd, so that was good for them. And then Villa comes home to play Fulham. I think they're going to get it back on the rails. And then it'll be interesting next week, just kind of looking ahead, they play Tottenham at Tottenham. So we'll see if playing on the road affects them. I think this Fulham game is going to be very important for them to get back in form for that big Tottenham game, which should be really exciting. But I think here I'm going to say Aston Villa gets it back together. I think they get back on the train moving forward. And they're going to make a good run here, I think, maybe. So it'll be interesting to see. You got Villa.
Yep.
You got Villa too, right?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on, we got Brighton versus Sheffield United.
Yeah, this is interesting. So Sheffield took the win last week against Wolves, kind of an upset. And you have Brighton that took the 1-1 draw with Everton. So this is going to be an interesting match to see if Sheffield can continue to ride the high, or if Brighton's going to collect themselves and get back to form. I think that overall, you have to kind of look at the man-to-man here, because realistically, what's going to happen in terms of how the players feel and how they perform based off of what's happened, and whether or not they're going to be able to continue to play at high levels and perform well, or if they're going to be in a drought, or whatever it is, it's almost impossible to tell. And I think you have to just solely look at a player to player, who would I rather take in this situation? And I think that if you look player to player, I'd probably take Brighton. I think it's close, but I think I'd probably take Brighton in this match. And I think it's solely because they've performed better consistently. I think that Brighton has had their dips and they've had their issues, but I think throughout the course of the season so far, they've performed better than Sheffield has, and I think it has something to do with just the strength of their squad. I think that it should be a good game to watch, and I'm excited to see how the players play. And this is solely based off of the fact that I just do not know how the players are going to react to either the rut that Brighton was in last week or the high that Sheffield are on this week. It's solely up to the players and how they show up, this coming weekend. If they show up ready to play for both teams, I mean, it'll be a good game to watch, but that's up to them, and we'll have to just wait and see. But I think on a player-to-player basis, I'm taking Brighton.
Yeah, Sheffield riding high on the bottom of the table. So, then playing Brighton.
You take the wins where you can get them.
Yeah. Um, it would be an absolute crazy upset, I think, if Sheffield is to pull this off. Not saying it's not possible, but especially with Brighton dropping some games here and there that we just really don't expect. But I think Brighton's got this one on lockdown. I don't think there's too much to think about here, but maybe Sheffield will prove me wrong. We'll see. You got
Just those two.
You got Brighton too?
Yep.
All right. Moving on, we got Liverpool versus Brentford.
Yeah, I'm liking this match. So Liverpool drew last week 1-1 with Luton. It was an underperformance from Liverpool. They had chances that they just weren't able to finish. I say weren't able, but just didn't finish that they needed to. And I think that's a real difference maker in that last match. They're going up against Brentford, who beat West Ham. It was a good match, 3-2. I liked what I saw from Brentford. It was a good showing. It was a good match overall, and I liked it. I liked both of the teams playing, especially, so I mean, it was fun to watch. But this week you're looking at a Liverpool squad who, if they can come in, fix the mistakes they made last week, finish the chances, not give anything away, and play strong, they have this. You have Luis Diaz, who's back and who has, scored another goal and come out of nowhere and bailed you out again. Liverpool has had a bad situation this season of needing to be bailed out at the end, and I think that they need to get that under control, and I think if they do, they have this game fairly convincingly. But they have to get out of that rut of needing to be saved right at the end, because that just can't continue throughout the season. It's not good enough for a squad like Liverpool. You have Brentford, though, who have been playing well. I like what I've seen from them. They have, they play well in defensively. I like, the fact that they pass well, they play well. I like the creativity that they have every once in a while, and the fact that they're able to make plays when they need to. I think that Brentford has the ability to come in here and beat Liverpool, but I think it is going to be really tough. I believe this game is in Anfield, which is just really tough. But you have the situation of a Brentford team who beat West Ham, who are playing well, who have the ability to come in and win. I think if Liverpool doesn't get their act together and start finishing some chances that they need to, clean up the mistakes, take the opportunity when it's given to you and finish. That's what Liverpool needs to do, and I think that they will get enough of it together to be able to take the win over Brentford this week.
Yeah, I think Liverpool's going to bounce back here and take a win. I mean, draws happen. I mean, sometimes you just hit a little dud like that, but for Liverpool, that's just kind of unacceptable for their expectations. But I think they'll get back on track here and get a Liverpool dub.
Yep.
Moving on, we got West Ham versus Nottingham Forest. Both teams did a little unexpected here last week as well. Every team really did. So.
Yeah, I mean, Forest took the 2-0 win over Villa. Kind of an unexpected win from them. But it was really good to see, Forest come in and play well and have opportunities and, finish them and take a win that they kind of needed. And it's good to see from them. And I like that they're kind of coming back into the form that I kind of thought they would be in after, week 4 or 5. Because I kind of thought after that, Forest is starting to show some stuff. And I think that they were performing well. And I think that they really came back against Villa. West Ham lost 3-2 to Brentford, like I said a minute ago. So, I mean, West Ham kind of had that dip, and I think that it's going to be a little bit of a rut for them. But I think that West Ham should be able to, bounce back and make a play and come back this week better than they were last week, and that's really what you have to do. I think if West Ham locks up the back four a little bit and plays better defensively, that they'll be fine and should be, better off in general. I think, though, you have to seriously watch out for the Nottingham attack, because the Nottingham attack has been really good at getting in, breaking away, making chances, and finishing chances. And I think that's the real big key part of Nottingham's game. is being able to catch you off, make a play, and finish that play. And that's the crucial piece of that some teams have been struggling with recently, and I think that Nottingham have been doing really well with it. So I think that's going to be interesting to see. I'm not entirely sure how this game is going to roll out, so I think I'm going to take a draw.
Dang
I think
it.
that both teams have the potential to win. I think that both teams have the potential to slip up and have the opposing team take the advantage. But I think overall it's probably going to be a draw.
I was going to also take a draw, but now I don't really want to take a draw.
I'll take the draw.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to give Nottingham their credit, and then West Ham kind of faltering. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the draw.
Fair enough.
Alright, moving on to a big game. We got Chelsea versus Man City.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea City, this is a match. This is a match to watch and pay attention to. Chelsea took the win last week, 4-1 against Spurs. That was a good showing from them. They had a lot of disallowed goals. They had a lot of opportunities that just kind of need to be finished off. They came back and they played really well. They were playing against 9 men for a large portion of it, but, is what it is. I'm not taking anything away from Chelsea. They're playing City. City beat Bournemouth 6-1. They didn't beat them. They just absolutely killed them. It's City. City's back up at the top of the table. They don't want to get kicked out again. They didn't like how it felt in second. They're going to try and hold on, and I don't think that they're going to, they're not going to let off the gas pedal, especially not for Chelsea. Chelsea has the ability to come in and play really well. They also have the ability to self-implode. I think that is going to be a real tough decision as to what they're going to do pre-game. I think that you're really going to have to just wait and see, because Chelsea, from a day-to-day basis, can either, take out the top-level competition or can take themselves out just as quick. And I think that's really going to be tough to tell. But I really like the way that Chelsea performed against Spurs. They kept pressure on. They won the game in the end. They had the opportunity. They made chances. They finished chances. That's it. It's that simple. They went in, they played their game, and they won in the end. Granted, they had more men, but, not taking anything away from Chelsea here. But they're going to be up against a really strong City squad who isn't going to want to get knocked out at first, and I think it's going to be a really tough match. I think that City's going to win, but I think that if Chelsea's playing at top form, it can go anyway.
Yeah, it should be a good matchup. Really a wild card Chelsea team, and Man City has faltered a couple times this season. They are human, we have found. But obviously this doesn't mean anything. But the last 5 matchups, Man City has won all 5. Chelsea has not scored a single goal in those past 5 matchups. So Chelsea looking to turn that story around. They may be able to score a goal, but I don't think they'll turn the win story around. I got Man City in this matchup.
Fair enough.
Who'd you have again?
City.
Okay, we both got a City dub. All right, well, that wraps up our Week 12 predictions. Hopefully it's a little better than our Week 11 predictions. Let us know down below in the comments what you predict, what you think, any comments you have to share with us about anything. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends, your family, your brother, your mom, your dad, your sister, and all that good stuff. So hopefully we have another good, exciting week of Premier League football. It's good to see, and we love it. So we hope you guys tune in next week for our predictions, and we'll see you next week.
See you.